The city of George is cleaning up after a strong storm. A hospital, clinic and schools have been closed because of the recent heavy rains. Ronald Masinda is crisscrossing parts of the garden route for us this morning to find out what the latest is. Ronald, we spoke to Voter Jacobs earlier on from disaster management in that area, and he was saying that the sun is out now. So we're hoping that the rain has stopped and the cleanup process can begin.
Yes, indeed, Tapfuma, good morning to you. Well, this has been described as the worst flooding that has been experienced in George in 60 years. I mean, the people that we spoke to in some of the worst affected areas said that they lost everything in their homes. We spoke to several people who live in an area called Hope Street, and this was an area where we saw quite a lot of flooding, people being escorted by the NSRI using speedboats. That is how difficult the situation was, and many of the people who not only lost a lot of things, but they are now trying to pick up the pieces. As much as the situation has improved, rain is still expected. But what we are also expecting is not only mop-up operations, but also some relief that will be offered by organizations such as Gift of the Givers. They are about to deliver quite a number of essential items to various parts here in the garden route. They are expected to go to several households that were affected to deliver food. They are also expected to go to some of the clinics that experienced some flooding. Some nurses saying that they don't have proper clothing. So the trucks that you see in the background are coming from areas such as Gqeberha, Kimberley, Graaff-Reinet and Cape Town to deliver those goods. And in as much as things are much better and calmer right now, many people are still expecting heavy rains.
Ronald, there's been lots of damage to infrastructure, roads, schools, clinics, but have there been any fatalities?
Not at all, which is the good news, and that we also didn't hear of any people seriously injured during the flooding, but infrastructure, certainly a lot of damage, and we'll only be sooner to knowing as to what impact this flooding has had on the city of George and in areas of the garden route. We do know that several roads have been closed since they caved in due to the flooding. We also know that several schools were also forced to close yesterday. Around 7 schools were closed, but it didn't have any effect on matric exams, as the Western Cape Education Department had said that matriculants were able to write. We also know that several clinics were affected, as well as the Mediclinic here in George. It was also affected, and a number of houses and people who have been left without homes. Some of them had to find alternative accommodation to try and just have a shelter on their head. We also spoke to another lady, Nicolene Miller, earlier on. She said that she had to take her kids away to find a proper home for them at their boss and at her boss. And she also made mention of just what a difficult situation this has really been. She just recently lost a father, and this was the last thing as a family that they need. So many touching stories, many people that we are impacted, not only in areas that we are in now, the suburbs, but also in township communities that we went to, people living in areas where there is wetlands, and they were very much affected by the flooding. And also Gift of the Givers is also here just to also offer some form of relief to people who have pets. So there's a lot of pet food, because pets are also vulnerable, dogs and cats, during this time of the day. So we will also be going around other areas to monitor the situation, but the locals here are still expecting more rains to come.
All right, Ronald Masinda is out in George for us. They had a torrid last 24 hours with a heavy downpour, and hopefully the next batch of rain is not as bad. Ronald Masinda out in George.